and welcome back to the Big Sip Podcast. My name is Sophie. I'm your host. Today I'm drinking Bigelow lemon ginger tea. This is one of my favorite teas ever. It's absolutely delicious. Really good for any time of the year. Also, I'm outside today because it is just absolutely gorgeous where I live. It's obviously summertime where I'm at, and it's been like unbearably warm. In the upper 90s, humidity like 80%. It's been just sticky and hot and gross. And this week, for the first time since like early March, it's like in the 70s. Oh my god, it's beautiful. So I'm outside. If you hear any like ambient noise, that's what it is. It's just gonna add to the mood, to a nice relaxed filming day. I am like at my house, so if there's like weird cars sounds and like dogs, it's because I do live in a neighborhood. So today I want to try something different. Originally this channel, when YouTube was like the main goal of this channel, we were going to be mostly focusing on like my life and like day-to-day almost vlogging activities. And now that I'm not actually doing anything necessarily with my face in it besides like B-roll, I want to try maybe talking about some stuff that I'm actually interested in, since you won't be able to see my face and I can't give really good examples of like, this is how I do my makeup, or this is how I make this kind of food, since I can try, but I feel like it'd be not very efficient. So instead, I think we should focus on some other interesting things that I would like to research, or I already know some stuff about. And honestly, a lot of my interests are like, a little spooky. I don't know if you guys listened. I hope you guys listened to last week's episode. I was with 3 of my friends and we talked about like spooky stuff that's happened to us when we were children. And I mentioned that I was like, I'm like one of the scariest people I know. And I mean, that's like kind of true. I don't know, I'm just into that whole scene of like scary stuff. Or at least like what other people think is scary, like true crime and ghost stories and stuff like that. So I would like to start trying to incorporate some of that into this channel because I think it's really interesting and I think it's really fun. And I don't know a whole lot of people who haven't had some kind of like creepy happening, like maybe they just have like a conspiracy theory that they really like to learn about, or maybe they have had like a ghost story or something like that. So it could really open up some opportunities for you guys, my listeners, to meet some people who have some really interesting stories. Also myself, because I like talking, obviously. Otherwise I wouldn't really have a podcast. So today we're going to be talking about a conspiracy theory that I think is really interesting. I don't know a whole lot about it, but I think that's also because there just isn't really a whole lot to know about it just in general, like there's just not a whole bunch of information. And that I think is one of the reasons why it's so scary to think about. And that happening that we're talking about is aliens and extraterrestrials. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Roswell, New Mexico today. But also just in general, just aliens and space. Now, I am a huge fan of the stars and the moon and nighttime in general. But what I don't like is being in the dark, which, yes, that is in fact a little weird. Not the fact that I'm afraid of the dark, but mostly the fact that I love being awake at nighttime, just not like in the dark. I have to have some kind of light around me. And that's mostly because I'm afraid of what's in the dark, Could be animals, could be people, could be something that I can't see or I don't know about, like ghosts or aliens. Oh, good tie-in, So I think space is incredibly terrifying to think about. It's just so big and we know so little about it. It's one of the scariest things I think you can even just the fact that our tiny human brains can't even begin to comprehend the enormous mass that is the universe is just like, we physically cannot wrap our brains around that. And that is something that just spooks me to my core, man. Like, I'm under the belief, oh my gosh, there's a lizard. Sorry, it just scared the poo out of me. But I'm under the belief that there's no way that human beings are the only living thing in the universe. There's no way. I mean, sure, there might be like microorganisms that we found on other planets and stuff like that that could potentially become other beings like us, but I mean, we're so young compared to the universe that there's no way that other things haven't, one, been around before us, or two, like they, I can't even, I don't know. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm under the influence that aliens absolutely exist. Whether or not they're like actual aliens from the sci-fi movies that we see, or, you know, what mass media has portrayed them as, I can't tell you. But what I do know is that there's no way that there are no other living creatures in the universe. You know, it's just too big, and we know too little about it to be 100% sure that there are not aliens. And I don't know if they have done anything like technologically crazy compared to us humans, which I guess is possible. I mean, say instead of dinosaurs, whatever planet aliens are on, instead just went straight into coherent beings, you know? Like, instead of coming up with T-Rexes, they came out things with arms and legs that have a language that can talk to each other and have conversations and create things like a civilization that we know about. Like, I mean, there's nothing that says that that's not possible. That's 100% possible. And I think it's borderline silly for a person to be 100% convinced that that's impossible, you know? That there just isn't anything else but us. And one of the main arguments that people use that are like, well, if there were aliens, then they would have come visited us. And part of me is like, okay, I see where you're coming from. Because we're obviously trying to find other living beings. So why wouldn't they be trying to do the same thing? And the easiest answer I have to give you to that is maybe they just haven't made it yet. Or maybe they have come and we've either brushed them off and we just are like, oh, that's just how space is. Or the military US government is sweeping it under the rug. And that's exactly what happened, supposedly, in Roswell, New Mexico. So I actually did my research for this one. I've got my notebook here. It's sitting underneath my teacup, so let me move everything around so I can get to it. I took some notes on this, and I have to be honest, it was a little bit difficult because everything that I found said that it was basically a giant hoax. Meaning that, yeah, I'll just get into it. Let's get into it. So, what actually happened, supposedly, in Roswell was that there was a potential UFO crash, like, near Roswell, New Mexico. And I say near Roswell because it was actually about 75... Okay, well, I had two sources say it was either 30 miles or 75 miles. I can't tell you how far it actually is. Actually, I should probably look it up. Okay, pause. And back. So, what actually happened in Roswell, supposedly, is there was a UFO crash on, like, a ranch. And it wasn't actually in... Oh. And round 3. Okay. So, what supposedly went on is that about 30 miles from Roswell, New Mexico, there was supposedly a UFO crash in, like, a ranch. And Mac Brazel, I hope I'm saying that right, Mac Brazel is actually the person who discovered this potential UFO crash. He's a foreman on a ranch, and in the sheep pasture, he found a mess of objects in this sheep pasture. And the actual date of discovery, I could not find. Some sources said it was July 6th. Some sources said it was around early July sometime. Some sources said it was 3 weeks before July 8th. So I'm going to say around early July, somewhere around the 3rd or the 4th. And it was in 1947. So Mac Brazel goes and he's doing his thing on this ranch. And he goes out to the sheep pasture and he finds this weird mess of metallic objects. And the official list of what was there is as follows. There were metallic sticks, in quotes, chunks of tape presumed to be Scotch tape, plastic and foil reflectors, and a glossy, papery material. So now that might be something that we see and be like, oh, some kid crashed his drone in the middle of my field. Okay, that's fine. But keep in mind, this is in 1947, like, seeing some weird things in the middle of a pasture in the middle of nowhere, that'd be a little spooky. It might be even spooky now, depending, I don't know, I live kind of in the middle of a city, so I don't know if I'd necessarily be spooked by that, but someone who doesn't have, there weren't cell phones, there weren't, like, easily accessible pictures of other things like this that someone could see and be like, oh, that's what that is, that this is something that this man had never seen before. So on July 6th, supposedly, maybe July 8th, Mac Brazel, he bundled all of this stuff up and he took it to the sheriff's office. And the sheriff reported this to the Air Force in Roswell. And the Air Force officials came and they looked at it and they were like, oh, this is nothing. This is just a weather balloon. And people, the press took off with this pretty much immediately. They said that there was a UFO crash. Newspapers all over the place were just going off the rails. People were saying that there's aliens, that there's UFOs in Roswell, New Mexico, and it's a giant cover-up for the government. So Air Force officials then had to do a press statement, and they said that it was a crashed weather balloon. And people were like, no way. We've never seen a weather balloon that looks like this. And they said, no, it is a weather balloon, and I can tell you why it looks like this. The U.S. Air Force and military in general were working on another thing called Project Mogul. Project Mogul was a series of weather balloons that were sent into a specific part of Earth's atmosphere to try and listen in on the Soviet government. And these weather balloons were equipped with a special sound device and sent into part of the atmosphere called the tropopause. That could be completely wrong, pronunciation-wise. I'm very sorry. But they were sent into the tropopause because it's like a similar, you can hear sounds similarly in the tropopause compared to the ocean. And basically that means in that specific part of the atmosphere, sound travels much farther and much quicker and much clearer than anywhere else in the atmosphere. Just like underwater. You can hear like whales from hundreds of miles away because of how well sound travels in the ocean. It's the same thing, like in the atmosphere. So the U.S. had made specialized balloons, altitude balloons, to be sent into the tropopause, and they used those to potentially listen in on Soviets talking about nuclear plans for an upcoming war, supposedly. And the stuff that crashed in Roswell, or really near Roswell, was just one of those weather balloons that had been taken down during a severe thunderstorm a few days prior. And then they just happened to find it. But here's the question was, why didn't the Air Force in Roswell know about this? If Project Mogul was happening so close to Roswell, why was it kept so secret that the surrounding area didn't even know about it, meaning the government in the surrounding area? So obviously that's a little sketchy, yes, our government can be real sketchy at times. We even knew about that. And the fact that not even local government knew about something so big and so important just kind of proves that, that's a little weird, So along with Project Mogul, there was another thing that was happening where U.S. Air Force would take these metallic dummies, like mannequins, and drop them from really high altitudes to see how they would react. And basically what was happening was they were dropping these mannequins from really high up and then immediately going and retrieving them in like armored vehicles. And people were seeing this and being like, dude, those are aliens. Now, I don't know, I don't necessarily believe that aliens are metallic. Granted, people/things come in all shapes, sizes, and colors. So, you know, I could be completely pulling that out of my butt, you never know. But I don't know if I think that aliens are metallic. But once again, this is still in 1947. You know, people didn't really have access to the same scientific research that we do now. So these armored vehicles were taking off of these mannequins that are metallic in these armored trucks, and people are like, these people are kidnapping aliens, 100%. Because this is still happening near Roswell. So despite the Air Force coming out with an official statement that's basically, yo, this is just a weather balloon, this is just like a thing that's happening, have no fear, this is completely normal, people are like, nah, dude, this is an alien cover-up. And Roswell, New Mexico is still one of the most active, in quotes, the most active UFO, like, sites in the world. People travel from all over the world to come and investigate this area of the U.S. because of how sketchy... Whoa. There are birds fighting behind me. That was a bird that just flew directly at my face. Wow, that was crazy. Anyway, so Roswell is still one of the most investigated UFO sites in the world. People come from all over the world to come see Roswell and investigate there. Unsurprisingly, there haven't been a whole lot of, you know, sightings, specific research that have been found in Roswell. But ufologists, I think that's how you say that? Ufologist? I assume that's right. People who study UFOs for a living are convinced that this is a giant cover-up. And while I agree that I think the government has seen aliens, they do know about extraterrestrials / there have been UFO sightings in the world. While I do agree that that is probably something that's happened, I don't necessarily agree that Roswell did have a UFO just crash. Because the size of these weather balloons is not that big. Supposedly they were only about 5 pounds and like 12 feet big, which if I was an alien, I would not want to be in such a cramped space. Granted, the aliens could be tiny. We don't know because I've never seen one. But I don't know, it seems too small. Like, if you're gonna come to Earth, why not make a statement, you know? Add some spice. Where's the flavor? We don't know. I think that the US government has, in fact, seen aliens at some point, and they are covering it up. That's one conspiracy that I can get behind. What I can't really get behind is the fact that Roswell, New Mexico is like the epicenter for UFOs and stuff because of one thing that happened in 1947. You know? I mean, if that was the case, then every drone crash and every airplane crash and stuff like that would be something to be investigated because aliens could have done it, you know? So personally, I don't necessarily agree that Roswell is like epicenter for aliens. But do I agree that aliens exist? Absolutely. I think there's no way that there can't be aliens somewhere. And, I mean, I'm not saying I've seen a UFO, but I have seen some weird stars, you know? Just ones that blink like a little bit too slow or that move really weird and there aren't any registered satellites in the air. Granted, humans suck and we've polluted every single part of the Earth and the atmosphere to the point where, you know, it could just be a satellite. Or something else that passed in front of a star and made it look weird, or like something in the atmosphere got burnt up or something. Could be just like a weird shooting star. I couldn't tell you. That's why we should keep our Earth clean. I mean, I've seen some weird stuff in the sky at night that I can't explain. Could that be because I have a lack of scientific knowledge that goes into the atmosphere and astrology, or, oh no, astronomy in general? Yes, it's quite possible that I just don't know what I'm talking about. Because most of the time I don't get me wrong. But also, like, it's possible that I could have seen something. And I could have a fun story to tell. I mean, I really don't. Mostly it's just I was camping and then you see something weird and you're like, oh, that could be UFO, and then that's the end. I haven't really had anything really scary that's ever happened to me. But I have seen videos of people take, like, videos and it looks like there's something weird in the sky. And people are really talented. They could have altered those videos and made something that looks completely convincing. And I am just a gullible fool that has looked upon these and been like, ooh, UFO. But also, who knows? a lot of people are not out to trick others. There's a lot of people who really experience scary stuff and that they get swept under the rug. And I mean, I would like to know if there are aliens. I think it'd be cool to see a UFO. I would not like to see a UFO in 2020. I have to be completely honest. I'm kind of fed up with everything that's happened right now. I'm kind of fed up with the pandemic and the killer wasps and the whole, just everything that's going on. It's just a lot for me to handle. So like, if we could keep UFOs for like 2021, that'd be great. But who knows? If we survive this year, then, and I get to see a UFO at the same time, I mean, that'd be great. I could tell my kids and my grandkids, like, oh yeah, 2020 was the craziest year of my life. I was a freshman in college, and then I saw millions of people get sick with a crazy disease, some killer wasps, some aliens, and then I turned a sophomore in college. You know, that'd be fun. We could tell, we would all have a fun story to tell. Okay, well, that is all I have for you guys today. I hope you are more informed on what happened in Roswell, New Mexico. If you didn't know about it, that's all the information I have for you. If you're interested in learning more about it, I suggest do some research, because the research that I was doing was really interesting. There just wasn't a whole lot of it. So if I missed any like big facts and stuff, please comment them. I would love to learn more about it. Maybe this channel will just become a spooky channel. It'll become a nice conspiracy channel. That'd be kind of fun, you know? Why not? So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys stay safe. We all know that this pandemic is not over yet. So I know schools are coming back into session in the next couple weeks. And if you are still in school, I wish you the best. I'm doing all online school because I am not about to go risk my life for college. So I am still going to school, but it's all going to be online, and that's going to be, you know, way better for me personally. So if you are going back to school, make sure to wash your hands. Please, please wear a mask. Please, please wash your hands. Please, please be safe. Take care of yourself. Take care of your family members. And I hope you guys have a lovely weekend. Make sure to give me a follow on Instagram and Facebook at Hey Teacups. If you have any conspiracies you'd like to share, or ghost stories, or anything else you want to talk about, make sure to send it to my Gmail at thebigsipproductions@gmail.com. Comment it on a video or on Facebook or Instagram, and I'll do my best to research them all for you. And I will see you guys